next guest got the shock of a lifetime a couple weeks ago when he found first-class airline tickets that normally sell for $13,000 for less than $1,000. Knowing it was a mistake, he booked his ticket quicker than you can say Nabisco's shredded wheat and crossed his fingers and prayed to every religious figure out there. Well, here with his tips for what to do when you see a mistake fare from thriftytraveler.com, Jared! Hi, buddy.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
Okay. Let's talk, because even if people don't travel a lot, they saw these two stories. Let's talk about two specific ones. First class from Vietnam. This was what, normally a
$16,000 fare.
And how much did it go for?
$900. Right. And I'm sure that still sounds like a lot of money to most people, but if you think about, like, we're talking lay flat seats, champagne, caviar, like things you wouldn't think you could ever have on a plane.
Okay, now.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, look at this. Look who's Mr. Fancy. Now, is that your first studio apartment, or is that the plane, Jared?
You know what, Jason? It's not a private jet like you usually take.
Whatever.
But it's not too bad.
No, seriously, is this the airline, Jared?
So this is Cathay Pacific, which is based out of Hong Kong, and they do fly to the U.S. So I use points and miles to book that. I don't have $16,000.
Yeah.
So, but it's an amazing flight. It's a huge seat.
That looks like a love seat that you're sitting on.
You could definitely have two people sitting in that seat.
And that's I see the champagne there, and
I'm 6 feet tall. I'm not like an absolutely tiny person, and it makes me look very small.
That is fantastic. Next, Air New Zealand, Chicago to Australia. In business class for what?
Okay, so this is one that I think people should really get excited about. It's gone, sadly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was $1,400, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's normally $6,000. And if you think you could actually fly from Chicago to New Zealand. You could stop over for a week and then continue on to Australia. You go to Sydney for another week and then fly all the way home for $1,400 in a lay-flat business class seat.
Yeah, again, this is like the primo seats. $1,500. Okay. So those are two fun examples.
Right.
But people watching, let's see they see a mistake. What should they do?
Always book now, ask questions later, because the better the flight deal, the shorter it lasts.
Yeah.
So you always got to book, then talk to your significant other, because if you don't talk to them, it's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a little problem, yes.
But the U.S. Department of Transportation, there's a federal law. Any flight that touches U.S. soil on a departure or a return is cancelable within 24 hours if you book directly through the airline. So it's
Did you guys know that? It's a good.
law.
That's why Jared says where people laugh, but it's not a joke. Book and then ask questions, and then you can cancel within 24 hours.
Exactly.
That's a good law.
Simple.
That's actually a good law.
A law that's working for us.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay, so. Do the airlines have to honor these mistake fares?
So that's a great question. The answer is no, they do not. So that's part of the fun. So, you find this mistake fare to, Australia, and you book it, and then you have to wait, usually 24 to 48 hours, and then the airline will release a statement saying, we are going to refund all the fares, or we are going to honor them. And the cool thing, the ones that have happened in the last 2 weeks, specifically that Cathay Pacific, the fancy one, and then the Air New Zealand one, they were both honored by the airline. So it's just super fun. I'm a huge, obviously, geek. I find flight deals for a living.
Yeah.
But to find, a fare that's 95% off that you can do lay flat across the Pacific.
Have you had one that they didn't honor? Have you bought one that had?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's heartbreaking.
I was going to say, that is,
But that's part of the game.
Okay, let's talk, let's move to Sun Country, because other than the mistake fare, Sun Country has been in the news a lot this week. The Star Tribune just did an article. Give us, cut through the giant story. What are your headlines? What should people care about?
Well, the most important thing is Sun Country's offering more routes to more places, which is more competition. Even if you don't want to fly Sun Country, I mean, just the fact that, we were talking about that Minneapolis to Chicago route. Hasn't had very much competition, super expensive for a flight that should be cheap.
I know, if you miss those episodes, Jared and I all the time talk about, for whatever reason, it is supply and demand, as you said, flights to Chicago, which is like 45 minutes, $300-400.
Right, you can go to Europe for less, and that's not a joke.
No, you can't.
It's serious. So the most important thing is Sun Country's, moving in these new routes. There's going to be more competition that should drive down prices, the Delta flights specifically, because we are what I like to call Delta hub hostages here.
Yeah.
80 to 90% of flights are Delta, and Delta is wonderful. We're lucky to be here.
We love Delta. Yes, we do. I do. But But so, for instance, like the Sun Country deal to Chicago, they're starting out at about $50 one way, right, to Chicago?
Yeah, they're drumming up. You know, they're getting a lot of press. It's wonderful. It is good to have more routes. And yes, they give these teaser fares to start off with. You know, and then the flights, of course, will get more expensive, but it'll hopefully bring down those Delta flights. And that is the most important takeaway.
Exactly. When we come back, more with Jared. He's going to give us, as he always does, the hottest deals. Plus, he's answering your questions, including questions about spring break travel. We'll be right back, everybody. Back after this.
I know.